Our first speaker is an undergrad student from Brown, who you've seen on these grounds before. Mahmoud Hallak is going to share with us his experience in getting into astronomy from Syria. Of course, I should just let you put your title up, and then so please help me give a warm skyscraper welcome to our first speaker, Mahmoud.
So hey everyone, I'm Mahmoud. I'm an undergrad at Brown. I'm studying astrophysics. This is my third year. I've been working with Bob at Lab Observatory, and I'm starting my astronomy club at Brown. I'll talk more about that. But yeah, this is my journey through astronomy. Let me know. All set?
Should be okay.
Okay. Here we go. So I was born in Aleppo, Syria. Aleppo, if you guys have been in Providence, there's a cool shop called Aleppo Sweets. The guy is from the same city. It's a beautiful ancient city. It's the longest continuously inhabited city for some 10,000 years or so. There's just fantastic architecture and history of every kind. There's also a big history of astronomy in there. I'm taking a class to learn more about it at Brown. And that's the citadel right there. It's been renovated recently, but unfortunately the war has it's had some damage. My parents are both doctors in Syria. They're first generation doctors. So they were really interested in science and putting us on the same tracks as well to become doctors. Unfortunately, I failed them in that, but I won other things. So my sister and I were always competing for academics in school. Like any kid my age, I wanted to be an astronaut. I wanted to look at the stars and do the cool things that I saw on TV. And it's all been going well. But unfortunately, there was some looming conflict around Aleppo and Syria itself. This conflict eventually got really close to our city. My school had to change. So our school was on the outskirts of Aleppo, and then it was looted and bombed. So we had to go to school closer to home and closer to the safe parts of Aleppo. But that image right there shows you that these safe parts were only just a matter of time. That was the university in front of my house. We heard noise and we went outside, and I saw the explosion. That was during test taking, so everyone was locked in their rooms, and just completely awful. Unfortunately, the war also took my grandfather and my uncle from me. That's my grandfather right there. So astronomy seemed to not be there seemed to be no future in astronomy in Syria if I stayed there. And after that university thing, my parents saw that too, and that was the last straw. We immigrated to Lebanon to escape the conflict there. So let me go back. No. Lebanon wasn't much better. It's still a country with its own problems. It has economical issues, safety issues as well, but at least we were able to go to school. My father unfortunately had to stay back to provide for us. Lebanon was not cheap. Going to school was not cheap. And he had to stay back and work as a doctor in Syria to provide for us. Unfortunately, during his work there, the hospital was bombed, and he went outside to go help people. Him being a doctor, that's the first thing you do. And then they dropped another one, and he was injured pretty badly. He had a really bad head injury, and no one in the Middle East or in Lebanon or Syria could ever fix it. So he traveled to the US for better treatment. So this is kind of going to be I'm going to skip past a lot of other things. But the way I came to the US was really made no sense, and it's complicated in a couple of years. So it was 4 years of my mother, brother, and sister all just sitting in Lebanon without a father, just studying and seeing if we can do anything in Lebanon. And then eventually, through other means and through really generous and helpful people in America and Lebanon, we were able to immigrate to the US so I could reunite with my father. That was my happiest day. It was so much work from my mother getting papers and just waiting around in Syria and so many other problems. They didn't like refugees. So we had that problem in school too. But yeah, now to the US. The future is back. That's me in middle school. I don't know what was going on with the hair. Glad we fixed that. I look like I'm running the math club. I wasn't. I wish I was. So yeah, that's me in middle school. I went to high school in Revere, Massachusetts. Good high school. I also did a program in medicine, fittingly to not upset my parents. That was the group I was working in. It was Mass General Hospital, really good hospital. They do fantastic work. We were doing cancer research. My specific project was using computers to find cancer cells. So that way you don't need a X-ray or a doctor to look at the image. You can just have a computer do it for you. It was a really cool project. Medicine wasn't quite for me. And I went to college, so that's high school. Applied to Brown, and got in. So Brown was a lot of fun. So many opportunities, so many cool people. I loved studying what I was doing, which was physics, but I still wasn't sure what I wanted to do. My first summer, I kept doing the medicine track. I went back to the same hospital, different branch, different program, and I worked in immunology. So I was the communications intern, and my job was making these cool images and graphics so people could see what immunology is about. The people were amazing. I didn't quite enjoy the topic. So when I went home, I wasn't much thinking about this. I was trying to find ways to get rid of my boredom and pick up new hobbies. I got a drone and I tried learning how to photograph with drones. I also tried learning instruments. That didn't work out for me. But my sister was doing an astronomy lab on the previous semester, and through unethical means, I think she kept a telescope. It's a Galileoscope. She loved her astronomy class. I took it from the shed and I started assembling it, and it was a fun project. So I took it out with my brother one night, and for like 2 hours of just trying to find the easiest target. It was the moon. I finally found it, and it was kind of cool. I didn't know anything about focusing, so all I saw was a blob. But after I saw it, it was like, wow, I could see the craters. It was beautiful. That's the kind of simulation of what I saw. It's a great telescope, by the way. If you want to do like a public outreach thing, Galileoscope, cheap and nice. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. I fell in love. I started planning my observing nights. I had an 1.5 hour long commute to work in my internship. My other internships here. So I would plan out. I would look at the forecast for the next week, and then plan out what to see. I also binge watched all of Ed Ting's videos. So helpful. And ended up listening to none of his advice by buying the worst telescope he recommended. So
You can tell him tomorrow when he's giving a talk.
I think he might be disappointed. But yeah, I don't know why I had an obsession for getting a German tutorial, but I also didn't want to spend any money. So I got this very clunky power seeker. In hindsight, I think it would have been, it's actually one of the best things I've done, because it taught me something really important in astronomy: patience. I spent hours and hours to get a single star, to get planets through that telescope. And I even decided to go do some public outreach with the we had a like a center for elderly in front of my house. So I went out with that telescope, and I would practice for hours a night just to make sure that I got it right for them. Which proved to be really helpful when you have to go outside in cold nights right now. So I'm glad I did that, but I think wouldn't be too happy. So yeah, that same summer, I saw a flyer. It was actually my roommate. He sent it to me on social media and was like, hey, there's this program, it's called NASA Artemis. You can tell them your story and they might take you. This program is under part of NASA. It's called NASA Social. They take regular people, and all you have to do is kind of share your story to your audience, and that's how you get in. They want people to popularize their programs. This one was Artemis. I'll talk more about it later. And they accepted me. Lad was also planning to make a publication, so I wanted to have some good stories for that. So I don't know how I got in. It was from 2,000 applications, they only picked 100, and they picked this guy. And that was my dream come true. I've seen NASA on TV in Syria, and I've seen their rocket launches and other missions, and it was kind of like a big step for me to actually be there. It didn't feel real at all. From never being able to even imagine stepping foot in America to being at NASA and the countdown clock. I've seen that thing so many times. So surreal. I loved it. But let me tell you more about the mission. So Artemis 1 was the first test launch of their lunar landing mission that's planned to happen in 2025. Might not happen, who knows? But it's super exciting because we're going back to the moon. This is the first mission, which is going to be going around the moon and coming back. Spoiler, it was successful. I'll tell you about that later too. So they took us there to talk to the people that were working on it, and I met so many astronauts. I'll tell you. Let me go back. These are only 2 photos. I was so shy. I went from seeing no astronauts to seeing 7 or 8. These are only 2 of them, but it just so happened that these 2 are the ones going around the moon in the next mission. Canadian astronaut and I think Christina. I forgot their names. I'm really bad with names, even an astronaut somehow. So fantastic program. I was just so happy. The group we had were all astronomy geeks. So, and the last day of the 3-day program at NASA was the launch of Artemis 1. We were all excited. Most of us have never seen rockets, let alone them launching. So seeing this just hunk of metal, it's 300 and something feet. It's like 25 stories or so. And just seeing it stand up there and somehow launch is incredible. We got really close to it. That's one of my shots going with the bus near it. And it's all you expect in a cool rocket launch. You have 2 solid boosters for the amazing noise and rumble. And then you have 5 space shuttle engines on the bottom to give it just incredible thrust. Making this the most powerful rocket ever launched yet. So we wake up early. We're all super excited. We go up. Everything's going well so far. And then we start getting some sensor issues. One of the engines had some pressure sensor not working well, which meant that they weren't sure what was the temperature inside the engine itself. They had other means of figuring it out, but they wanted all the instrumentation. So they played it safe, and unfortunately for us, they scrubbed it. We got treated to a beautiful sunrise though. Look at this. Florida's beautiful. This was during the summer too. It was hot, so I was inside under AC the entire time. But when we went outside, it was nice. The next attempt, I had COVID. Someone in the first one, unfortunately, was not wearing their mask and was coughing all over us. So I got that virus for the next one, which was kind of fine because it didn't end up happening. They had so many issues. This time it was leaks. If you guys remember the space shuttle, this rocket is based on the space shuttle design. So they have hydrogen and oxygen. Hydrogen is a terrible fuel if you want to keep it contained. So the second one just had leaks all over the place and they couldn't launch it. Yeah. The third try, no more COVID. I'm wearing that mask religiously now. And we go to attempt it. Oh, we're back. This time it's not in the morning. It's gonna be a launch at 1 or so a.m. So this was in November. I'm a college student. I got school. So, and now I'm preparing for my finals. And this was during the week. So I have class, I have finals, and I have school. So I book a flight. I still want to watch this. This is my dream. I want to watch this rocket launch. So I book a flight in the afternoon of a Tuesday. And then my return flight is in the morning of Wednesday. So just not a hotel, not nothing. I was going to sleep on the benches at NASA because I wanted this thing. So we go there. That's me on the countdown clock. Minus 3 hours. I don't know how. Back then, I didn't drink coffee. I don't know how I was up. It was like 1 or 2 in the morning. I still had all that energy.
19.
That's true. That's true. But yeah, it was going really well. They were 2 hours ahead of schedule. And we're all really happy. But then we had some minor issues, but these issues kind of became less minor. This is how NASA does it. They're always like, guys, everything's fine. We just have these tiny issues. Give us some time and we'll fix them. Turns out it's not a tiny issue. This one was, so there's a valve that tops off the oxygen. There's already fuel in the rocket. But the valve that pumps the fuel into the rocket and makes sure it's still full is leaking. And that's not good. But it's also not too bad because the rocket itself is fine. It's just the thing putting the fuel into the rocket. So they send in that red team. They're one of the coolest people you could probably ever meet. Imagine having the courage to go to a fully fueled rocket and just like work under it. A rocket ready to launch. So they go there, they do all they could, and then they come back. By then, I was tired. NASA, from their track record, they play it safe. So I'd lost hope. I'm like, surely they paused the countdown clock, so we're just waiting on some kind of confirmation. So I start packing up the camera, and then I hear from the group near me. The poll has been completed, so they did a poll to see if they're gonna go or no go launch. And they said that the poll is completed and launch is happening in 10 minutes. So I'm like, whoa. I bring out the camera and emotionally I had already detached myself from it. I'm like, it's not gonna happen. And now suddenly it's happening. So I'm like, I'm getting myself back into it. I'm like, oh shoot, it's actually gonna happen. Like it's a weird feeling. You know it's gonna happen, but you're just not ready for it. And you can't stop the timer. So you're just sitting there, you're like, you wanna psych yourself up and get photos for it too. I wanted to get some photos for the Latin magazine. But the audio is still going to take a while to arrive to us. So we're going to see the rocket go up. Can you pause? Well, there's a helicopter. This was during the morning launch. They told us the vice president was coming, but we didn't know who it was or where they were. Kamala Harris. So this helicopter, I'm assuming was them. They just didn't tell us. There's a lot of secrecy. Government agents, all that. So let's see the screen. Here we go.
I'm to start realizing if this is going to happen. I need to prepare myself.
This is not me. This is someone else. I have my own video. I'll show you later. So look out at 5 seconds. The main engines are going to ramp up, and you're going to see that blur in the distance. And look for the sound. You're going to hear the main shuttle engine sounds. This is 2 a.m. in the morning. Look out for the sound now. This is the main engines, and then you're going to hear a small explosion, a crackle. That's the boosters turning on. Crackles, the boosters. It's much louder.
chest, shakes chest up and down. Where we were looking, the moon was just rising. The moon was just rising from the ocean, and we had this kind of cinematic view of the rocket going up and then down towards the moon. It was so cool.
That's cool. Um, yeah, all my tired and other feelings kind of disappeared when I saw that bright flash of light. It was so I'll put it more into perspective. You obviously saw it on the screen. You can't really describe a rocket launch, but it was 2 a.m. and your eyes were looking at this like really dark surrounding. And then suddenly at -5, you see this like flash under the rocket, main engine is turning on. And then this like bright, it's almost like a sunrise. Like your eyes would imagine you were outside stargazing all night. You come inside, you turn on the blue light, your eyes are kind of like tired and it hurts. That was exactly what you felt. Middle of the night, sunrise, your eyes are quickly adjusting. But once they do, all the silhouettes of the vegetation, beautiful vegetation in Florida, and all the buildings that you couldn't see before, they're all lit up like it's daytime. And then you're hearing the kind of muffled screams of people, but then once the rocket sounds reach you, you just stop hearing anything except the rocket itself. And then at some point, the vibrations from the boosters, they work with incredible force. I think someone described it at NASA. It's like small explosions happening every second, which is why you hear the crackle. The crackle is not from the microphone itself. It's an actual phenomena because these boosters are having tiny explosions inside the chamber, which provides that thrust. So they shake you up pretty well. And then you just hear like I heard my teeth clackling. Really cool. And then it just goes by so quickly. I wasn't ready for it, but the guys were completely right. They're like, don't look at it through the camera. Look at it with your own eyes because it'll be done quickly. And it sure was. And when it was over, it's incredible. Like you watched that speck of like a star, and it kind of just disappeared into the other stars on the ocean as it went below the horizon. So these were my images. This is Bob got me a camera, I think, a couple of days before, and let me borrow it. So thank you, Bob. And then, this, I caught the booster separation. Let me show you right here. That's the main engines.
Great shot. Those are the two.
And then these are the two boosters separating, and that's the moon. It was cinematic for us.
That is
That's great.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. And then they just put us back into a bus,
Well, happens.
Yeah.
and that's me.
Mm.
That's a happy guy. He saw his first rocket launch, and he's can't wait to talk to people about it.
At that point, you're heading right to the airport.
That's me in the bus. They're kicking us up quickly before the rush from everyone else leaving as quickly.
Yeah, just point out those images to the folks out in Zoom land.
Thank you, we got it.
Sorry about that. So yeah, this was the rocket right here, and then these are the two boosters separating from it. And that's the moon right there, the quarter moon. I think that's a star right there, unless it's that might be some kind of or aberration. Who knows? It was really clear. We were able to see the rocket up until it went under the horizon. Anyways, happy guy. Let's talk more about what happened after. That going to NASA and seeing the launch definitely solidified that I just love this stuff. I love space, and I love rockets and all the cool things there. So I went back to labs, talking to people about it too, and just kept pursuing all the opportunities I can. Most of them were Bob. Bob just sent me everything, and they were all cool opportunities, and I just showed up for them. So then the next summer, I really wanted to go back to NASA. I applied for a couple positions and I got one for eclipse outreach. There's a big eclipse happening next year. You guys know April 8th. I was working with the national parks and Earth to Sky with a team called Earth to Sky. And what we did was just contact them, let them know, and give them resources for the upcoming eclipse. It's a big deal. I mean, the next one is in 20 years. So it was a fun job. And during it, I actually got to go to Los Alamos a week before Oppenheimer. So it was really cool in season. They were hosting a course, environmental course. I was handling the camera. So at night, I would go outside and I would take some info. Los Alamos. That's the Manhattan Project.
Yes.
Things very cool. That's a bump. And yeah, at night I would take out the same camera that I was recording courses with,
Oh, I like the caption.
and I would. So I'll talk about that later too. Yeah, I'll talk about it now. This is a capture of the Milky Way, of course. But the location is interesting. This was a mile away from my hotel in some dead end street in Los Alamos. I have very bad survival instincts. So what I did, I looked at the forecast and I saw it was clear. I asked my mentors, do you guys want to go stargazing? I want to take some shots. They were both tired, rightfully so. We were working hard that day to set up the chairs and equipment and everything else. I still wanted to go. So I took the camera and went outside. And I kept getting bothered by the street lights and the parking lights and all that. So I kept moving away from all those lights. And I found this really dark dead end street. It's really far away, but I kept walking there. I knew nothing about Los Alamos. I knew nothing about the wildlife. And I was alone in the middle of the night. So very smart decision. But I was loving it. I've never seen the Milky Way before. And then when the sun set, I was captivated. I mean, beautiful. And of course, I mean, every part of me was worried because I'm surrounded by bushes, and I'm alone in the middle of the night and it's dark and it's all that. But it didn't matter. The photos were cool. And you know, at some point, I stopped really looking around and turned off my worried brain and I just looked up at the stars. It was just, I mean, incredible. I mean, it's, you know, it's very, I don't know how to say it. I mean, it doesn't sound too exciting, but like all the stories of like astronomy and just like people looking up at the sky. I've been reading a lot on it, and I've been taking class on it too. Like their stories and omens and predictions, they all made sense. I mean, these people had access to these night skies every clear night, and they would see all these events. They'd see all these planets and the Milky Way itself. So they made these interesting stories because of that. Anyways, almost got mauled by a mountain lion. So I was, as I was taking the couple final images, I hear a crackle in the bushes. It was kind of like galloping. I stand up on a scream. I thought it was a person on a horse, and then no one responds. I look around the bushes and I see a furry back. So it's kind of I never thought, you know, it makes sense why we made it so far, because it kind of unlocked a part of my brain that was like, oh, you're gonna die, you should run away. It was like we made it this far because of that. And I just dropped the camera, dropped everything, and I ran as fast as I could, not even thinking about it. And as I was running, it's like every bush, my brain was so, it was late at night, but my brain was so sensitive to everything that I would see, like, I would track each bush, and I'm like, the mountain lion would jump from here, I can attack it like that. I'm like, I didn't know I had that. Cool. And then asked my mentor. He lived in Alaska, so I mean, big guy as well. So when he came out to help me with the camera, I felt so safe. I was walking next to this 6'7" person. I continued taking my photos, not even worried at all. And I did the same thing 2 nights later. I never learned. But that's a story for later.
Because you could run faster than.
Never learned, but that's a different story. So then after the internship, I was working with Bob on a spectrograph lab over the summer too. So Bob mentioned the idea of going to Stellarpane, and that's my second dark sky. It was beautiful. I mean, clearer than Los Alamos. And what was even better was it was all forecasted to be rain. So when you get that clear sky, it's always better because you get the rain and it washes everything away. So that was a lot of fun. Went to some mirror workshops. That was almost 6 months ago. I was with Bob. And I wanted to start my astronomy club. I just wanted to do everything astronomy related. I wanted to do the photos, I wanted to do the Milky Way captures, I wanted to see the dark skies, and now I want to make my own club. So that's what we did. A couple of people working at LAD. We got some interested folk, and they joined our astronomy club. We've been hosting events weekly since, and we have a new one in Little Compton this weekend to bring people outside the city to see dark skies, just like I did, and get them excited, hopefully.
That's on the rooftop of the physics building.
That's the rooftop, yeah. So, just a quick plug. We have our own club. You guys have a cool club too, but our clubs connect. And yeah, that's basically all I had. I wanted to give a takeaway. I mean, all these opportunities wouldn't seem like too much to the people handling them and hiring and picking you. It's probably as simple as like getting you to fill a spreadsheet or help you or get them to help you with public nights or other things. But in reality, like these things matter. The opportunities that you give to people. For me, it was rediscovering a dream that I had and I lost for a war. So having it, this was all a year ago. And having that chance to see that dream was possible was because of these experiences and people giving me that chance. So I want to end it by thanking you guys and also specifically thanking Bob for being such a great mentor and guiding me through a lot of this. Thank you so much.
Questions?
So how did you do on your test after the airplane flight after the launch?
Oh, I got all A's. That was actually my best semester so far around. Probably because I was interested in it and I was taking an astronomy class too. So they related, and I was more interested in doing well in that astronomy class now that I'm the NASA boy. NASA boy. Any other questions?
How far are you from the rocket when you're observing? Because
was-
if there's that much delay between
Yeah.
seeing it and hearing it, how far away are you?
I think it was about 3 miles or so.
Yeah.
So the way I can explain, if you guys have been to Kennedy Space Center, well, you've probably seen photos of the countdown clock and the rockets behind it. We were on the bay next to that countdown clock, which was actually really interesting because when it did come down to the rocket launch, no one knew when it was going to launch because we didn't have that big clock telling us. So I kept hearing numbers thrown around in the group, and then someone would say T-minus 30 seconds, and the other guy would be like, no, it's a minute. So I was just like waiting for that flash. I was waiting to see the little flash under the rocket, just so I can solidify and know when it's going to launch. Because I had a camera I wanted to take photos with. Yeah, it's cool. They let us experience all that.
Do you have a link for the video that you had that wasn't playing on here?
Yes, I'm gonna share it. So that one was my phone, and I put it on.
It's on YouTube?
That was I didn't put it on YouTube yet. It was just my phone, and I put it on a chair, and I turned it on in case my camera didn't capture anything. That one shows a lot of just the sheer brightness of the rocket. It completely overexposed all the images. But you can also see some aberrations in the lens. you see like the big bright dot, and then you see a reverse dot because of the reflections bouncing into the sensor and then around the lens, and very cool. But yes, I will share that with you.
All right, Mahmoud, thank you very much.
Thank you for
Very
having me.
interesting.